In this video, I'm going to teach you how to apply the top coats of polyurethane to make your old hardwood floors look like new again. This process involves removing the old carpet and going through all the process of sanding these floors. I have 3 videos and this is the third of the 3 videos. So I'm teaching on the other 2 how to use these machines, how to do the sanding properly, how to protect yourself, how to make sure that all the floor looks really nice. So I also have these techniques where you can fill all the little crevices and gaps on your floors really nicely. So you want to see all those 2 videos. Now the important thing over here is to make sure that you clean everything well. After using the vacuum, I'm going with a fairly dry sponge, cleaning all the dust. So you want to make sure that you do the entire process really well, vacuum and then that sponge. And after that, obviously you want to take your shoes off because now you're working with something that is extremely clean and you don't want to add any fibers or nothing. Look, you can see that the entire hardwood floor is nice and clean, and you want to proceed with the application of your materials. For that, we're going to use this type of pad, and this tool that is here, I'm using a telescopic paint pole, and also these little pieces. I'm going to leave it on the description so you can actually get them and do the same process. Now in this case, I'm going to use a cheap brush and this nice gloss polyurethane to make it look like glass. So that is an important thing. This one will dry faster than normal. It says that in 4 hours you can apply a second coat. I left it obviously a little bit more, but you want to go ahead and put the padding for your tool, your applicator, properly and correctly. You want to make sure that it's well fastened and that is distributed really well so you don't have issues when you are applying. Sometimes people don't do that and the little piece of cloth will end up coming out. So what we want to do in the beginning is to make sure that we cover all the perimeter. On this first of 2 coats, first I actually add the sealer with the filler. Remember to see all those other 2 videos, but you want to go around the entire perimeter, making sure that you cover all those edges. I went all the way through these 2 rooms that I'm doing. It's about 400 square feet, and you want to make sure that you apply this really well. Remember that if you see any fibers or any little debris, you want to make sure that you remove them because they will be stuck over there and they will show later on the first coat. So here's something that nobody told me, and I had to figure it out, see somebody else, and maybe they didn't want to share or they didn't have the time or they didn't have the patience. But what I'm doing over here is smearing all the first coat of polyurethane really well into all the boards. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to make sure that all those fibers will be really well covered. See, when the first coat dries, all those fibers will stand up and you can do the sanding for the second coat. But you want to make sure that you smear this really well. Imagine that you're doing some sort of mopping, you're scrubbing this really well. And the technique that I'm going to show you in a moment is something that is really important. So a lot of people will ask me, Hugo, why are you doing that in a weird random way? And what I'm trying to do in this case is making sure that all the crevices are nice and filled. Sometimes people just start coning this, and right after you have that, you want to go ahead and work with the same direction of your boards and wipe the excess. Notice that I don't apply a lot to the edges because I want to make sure that when I do this type of thinning, I don't have a lot of polyurethane or product on the walls. So you want to make sure that you work on sections that are not going to be too far away. Sometimes people cover a lot, and then when they have to cone this, they just can't stretch enough because they're trying to do it faster, and that's something that may end up hurting your technique and your finishes. So you want to make sure that, like I'm doing over here, you covered everything really well. And if you notice, you can actually play with the shadows, you can play with the reflection, so you see the spots that are not normally covered. Now the important thing when you're doing all this is that you want to create a path where you can walk back and get out of those rooms. So in this case, I have to go through the front door, and that's why I'm leaving all the space without being touched, like a small corridor, so you can properly get out. So Once you are determining the area that you want to walk from or walk down, you want to make sure that you don't apply too much on the first coat. So see that I pick up some little fibers and stuff like that, and you want to make sure that you apply this one fairly well, but not as thick. Our idea is to make sure that we cover all the areas and you don't have to be worrying too much about the finishes, because that will be the second coat. So now that we're gonna let it dry for the rest of the day, tomorrow I will actually walk on it. So the important thing over here also is to remember that you wanna buff those floors again. Using a buffer, a sanding disc, and a pad, you wanna make sure that you do the second buffing. Remember that on those other two videos, I'm teaching you how to do that process, how to use those machines, so I don't want you to get hurt. But if you notice, you can actually see that some little fibers are raised, and you want to remove all the stuff. So now that everything is fine, see some areas are a little bit lighter, but you don't have to worry because everything was covered. So we're going to use the pad, we're going to use the 120 grit scrubbing or sanding disc, and go through the process of cleaning the entire thing again. Remember that after you finish with that, you want to go ahead and use the vacuum and also use that sponge, a damp sponge, to wipe all the material out. So you want to leave that just like in the beginning, nice and clean. You want to make sure that all the areas don't have fibers. You want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth, and that way you can apply the second coat. We're going to do the same process. We want to make sure, but in this case, you're going to be a little more generous because the idea is to leave it beautiful and shiny. If you don't do that, sometimes some areas will be a little bit more dull, and you want to make sure that everything has the same sheen. That is something that a lot of people don't remember, and they have to end up going back again and doing some touch-ups. You don't want to do that. You want to use the reflection. Look how beautiful it looks like. Remember to always walk out. See, one of the important things of this project is that I'm giving you all the information that I learned through many years, probably like 25 years. Remember not to turn on your air conditioning, your heating system, because that was going to throw dust on top of your floors and you're going to have that grain. So you want to make sure that you do it in the right way. One of the biggest things that you can give me is a little thumbs up to say hello, to say, if you like this type of videos. And obviously I try to teach as much as possible. Once you get out, you want to make sure that you allow this to dry for longer time before you step on it. Remember to subscribe to my channel, hit the little notification bell, and obviously comment and share if you can. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best in your hardwood floor refinishing. Bye.